In Portugal's 2025 election that took place May 18th, the center-right party AD won the most votes but did not get enough to govern alone. Welcome back to Riks Europe, Miguel Nunes Silva, Director of Trezeno Institute and local councilman in Portugal.
Thank you for having me once again, Rebecca.
So tell us the significance of this election and also the results, and were they a surprise?
They were definitely a surprise, and it is a political earthquake in Portugal. Chega, the insurgent populist right party, similar to other parties around Europe, they are a member of the Patriots for Europe in the European Parliament. Chega managed to get second place in the national elections. It got the same number of MPs as the Socialist Party, which would go along with the center-right. They were the two alternating bipartisan parties that have been in power since, for the past 50 years. Chega managed to overcome the Socialist Party, and now they got the same number of MPs, but we still lack the MPs that will come from the immigration circles, the Europe circle and the rest of the world circle. And those should come to the right. The immigrants abroad tend to vote right-wing. So in all likelihood, Chega will get more MPs, which means they will be able to overcome the Socialist Party. This is earth-shattering because the party was created 6 years ago. No one expected this. None of the polls indicated this. The question that was posed by pundits and by the news was whether the Socialist Party or the center-right party, AD, would be able to win the elections. No one expected this. This is a political earthquake. The Socialist Party leader has already resigned. Another big loss of the night was the left bloc. The left bloc was there were always three left-wing parties in Portugal: the Socialist Party, the Communist Party, and the Trotskyist, the left bloc. And the left bloc at once upon a time was the third largest party with almost 20 MPs. This time around, they were reduced to one. They came close to not being able to elect at all. So at this moment, the left, along with the Socialist Party and the far left, they represent only 40% of parliament. This is unheard of in Portugal. It's a complete revolution. It's an earthquake. Now, in terms of practical consequences, the AD government, center-right government, should be able to rule for another year without interruption, because in the meantime, we will have presidential elections, and there are constitutionally defined deadlines for when national elections can be called. So even if an AD government ruling alone were to collapse again, we wouldn't be able to schedule new elections for an entire year. And that might be an indication as to why the AD government the AD party does not feel particularly pressured to form coalitions, because the truth is, for an entire year now, they won't have to. They can rule alone, and even if their government was to collapse in parliament, they would still rule. That being said, bipartisanship in Portugal is now dead. The bi-party system is dead, because it is now impossible for AD, in this case, to approve any constitutional changes without the right, without Chega. It is simply impossible. The AD, together with the Socialist Party, they don't have the necessary number of MPs to approve constitutional changes. So this is now officially a three-party system.
So is it realistic that we can expect a more stable government, and will we see an exclusion of Chega in terms of coalition?
The leader of AD, Prime Minister Montenegro, does not seem inclined at all to make coalitions. That was not his intention before the last election last year. That is not his intention now. Nothing in his speech indicated that. But the truth is that if the Socialist Party and Chega, if they combine their respective strengths, they will be able to block any kind of legislation that comes out of AD from passing in Parliament. So I'm not entirely sure, to be honest, what is the strategy from the AD. Until last year, it seemed that the leadership of AD, then of the government, their plan was, if our government collapses, because we're a minority government, if our government collapses, the people will blame the opposition for the instability, And by blaming the opposition from the instability, we'll come out of the elections strengthened, and the opposition will come out of the elections weakened. But that's not what happened. The AD obtained more or less the same result. They improved a bit. But Chega is the one that actually grew. So their strategy of blackmailing right-wing electorate into voting AD simply did not work. So what they do now is anyone's guess. They do not seem at all to be inclined to form a coalition. And like I said, they don't have much incentive right now because they don't have to. For an entire year now, we will not be able to call for elections again.
And Chega had a very good election. What does their growth say about the public frustration with what's been going on in Portugal?
I think as what happened last time, there was a transfer of votes. From what we can tell, there were two sources of votes for Chega. One was the absentee ballots. So there are many people who don't go vote. And the abstention this time was very small, just reduced, just as had been last year. So that means that there are many people who don't usually vote, who now decided to go vote, and they voted Chega. That's one source of the votes. The other source of the votes is the Socialist Party. There are many people who transferred their votes from the Socialist Party to Chega. And the reason we believe is mostly immigration. Immigration, like I told you last time, it's not a national issue. There are many regions of the country that don't suffer the effects, the adverse effects, let's put it that way, of mass immigration from the third world. So not everyone votes based on the issue of immigration. But in big cities, they do. And guess what? It's in the big cities of Lisbon and Porto that most MPs are elected from. So consequently, there was, I believe, an urban transfer of votes from the Socialist Party to Chega.
So what are the predictions for the coming years for Portugal due to these election results?
Well, either the AD government decides to wake up to reality and realize that if they really want a stable government for 4 years, a 4-year government, even an 8-year government, they will have to make a coalition with Chega. Or, which I think is unfortunately more likely, I think that the AD will draw the conclusion that we can do the same thing we did this time. We will wait out until the public decides to give us more votes. We will wait a year. It doesn't matter if the government doesn't accomplish anything. It'll be a sclerosis. The president will not be able to do anything because he's now a lame duck. He's about to leave office. The new president will be still settling in. For an entire year, no one will be able to do anything. And if the AD doesn't pass legislation in government, as far as the party goes, they don't care. They are in government. They have the ministerial positions. They have the public office. If the government, apparently for them, if the country suffers, they don't care as long as they're in power.
Thank you very much, Miguel Nunes Silva, Director of Trezano Institute and local councilman in Portugal.
Thank you, Rebecca.
And thank you for watching Riks Europe.